Good evening. Welcome to Midnight Hour Podcast. I'm your host, Zach, and these are...
Ashley.
Will.
And tonight we're going to talk to you about our ghostly experiences.
I guess I'll start.
The host never starts.
Yeah.
Start with the baby of the group.
Okay. So, I guess the first time that, I had experiences with the paranormal probably is, I don't know, I think it was literally, I saw Grandma, in the corner of the room, always looking at me.
Yeah, that happened. But that was not your first experience with the paranormal.
Big sister steps in.
I know.
The truth unveiled.
I'm like, what the hell?
So to give a little backstory, even though I call him my little brother, technically he's my cousin. Okay? My grandmother had custody of him. She passed away in 2005 when William was 3. And then my mom got custody, and that's how he became my little brother. When our grandma, was passing away, she had cancer, and she was on hospice care. We put you down for bed. Again, you were 3, so everyone else was still wide awake. I was 12. No, I was older than 12. I was 12 when you were born.
You're 15.
14, going on 15.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we were laying you down. You went down, but then while everyone else was in a different room, you started freaking out, just screaming, crying. And our grandpa went in there and picked you up and loved on you and brought you into the living room where Mima was, because she's like, why is my baby freaking out? You were her baby, so spoiled. Anyway, so when you went into the living room, there was a picture on the wall. And you were like, that was the lady. That was the lady. Apparently, when you woke up, there was a lady floating on the ceiling staring down at you. And it scared the shit out of you.
Damn.
Turns out the lady in the picture was Grandma's mom, our great-grandmother.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I know. That's...
Dun dun dun.
I know. Well, correction. The earliest time I can remember.
There we go.
Damn. I don't know what to say. That's actually kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, why didn't you tell me this before?
I have.
Look at me. I have no idea.
Well, anyways, I guess you guys learned something that I already knew but forgot. Anyways, that's so crazy. I just got chills. But backtracking to what I was saying, when you're a kid, most kids, they're sensitive to that type of stuff. Some grow out, some still have it. But typically kids are most sensitive. So obviously it makes sense that I saw, things that go bump in the night when I was little. But I remember Grandma, that's the most prominent one, just always looking at me, watching me while I sleep. And I always had this reoccurring nightmare of her passing and her spirit talking to me. And every time I woke up, she was there just looking at me. At first I was freaked out because obviously you wake up and you see someone watching you sleep.
Someone you're not 100% sure who it is.
Yeah.
Because she did pass away again when you were 3. So.
Right. Just totally freaked me out. But then it I don't know, it felt peaceful. It wasn't harmful or anything.
Yeah.
I actually slept better. But yeah, no, that's the way you said that's crazy. But then this one encounter I had really freaked me out. And you know about it because
Here comes the top hat man. Here comes the top hat man.
Comes the top hat man. Comes the top hat man. Comes the top hat man.
Yeah, the top hat man. I came crying to your room after this too, so...
Originally brought up in the first podcast.
Yes. For those of you that have seen the first podcast, you know what I'm about to talk about. And if not, well, you're about to find out. So, I think I was like 6 or 7. I was young.
Yeah.
But I was going to sleep in my room. It was like, I don't even know what time it was.
8 o'clock.
8
Your
o'clock.
bedtime was 8 o'clock.
Yeah. Bedtimes. They're the worst. But, you know, being a kid, I didn't go to bed at 8. Shh.
Who they gonna tell? Our mom?
Yeah, that's true. And if you're a kid watching this, go to bed.
Don't listen to him.
Anyways, so I was just, you know, up in my bed. I was just like playing with my like little toys that I had, and then I look out the window. I don't know why. It's just, you know, the moon was there. I was just always like looking out my window from time to time. But then something caught my attention, like across the street to the neighbor's house. There was just this figure, like with a top hat and like a cane, just like looking like directly like up top, like where I was, and like I felt frozen. Like I looked, we locked eyes.
If you guys hear that thumping, it's our dog's tail.
We have a lot of therapy animals. We're damaged people.
That's why we're doing this. But literally, it freaked the crap out of me because I didn't know what to do. I was just like, I don't know this person. Is that actually like someone at the neighbor's house? Like, if so, why are they looking at me? It's nighttime. How do they know I'm looking at them? Like, all these things are going through my mind. And then just as I was about to like shrug it off and be like, okay, that's creepy, but I'm going to still play with my dinosaur type, you know?
Yeah.
But then I just couldn't take my eyes off of him. There was something about the figure. And then, like, what really got chills going through me at that time was him taking his first step towards me. And it was just like, okay, shit just got real. Because he was eye contact the entire way, looking at me. I felt afraid, right? But it wasn't like... you know, like a threat. It was like I was drawn to that person. Yeah. Like they wanted me to come out there to them. Like it was weird. It was almost like a calling. But being like 6 or 7, watching that out your window, walking to you, creepy ass like older dude with a top hat and a cane, just fucking walking towards your house, maintaining eye contact with you. And then he got to our yard and still, like, looked up at me. And then that's when I lost my shit. I cried. I flew off the covers and was, like, running. I'm like, oh, hell no. And then that's when I run into her. I run straight to her. And I guess you can tell the rest because it's foggy after that.
I was about to say, honestly, nothing really happened. You screamed and cried. I couldn't really get anything out of you that night. So I just had you cuddle up to me and you fell asleep again. So nothing really happened late that night. It was just later on, the next day when you told me about what you saw. But the way you told it, I thought it was just a nightmare. It wasn't until like years down the road that it came out that it was, no, not a nightmare. It actually happened.
It was an experience of sorts.
Yeah. Mind you, he was like 6 or 7 telling me the story, so of course it was like, oh yeah, that sounds like such a scary nightmare, dude.
Yeah.
You know? So.
It sounds like a scary nightmare, man. Am I down there?
But yeah, no, I had trouble sleeping after that. Like, and it's crazy because that was one of the nights that I didn't see Grandma. So it's like, I don't know. It was weird. Like, just, you know that feeling, like, of someone watching you?
Yeah.
It wasn't there, like, in my room, like anymore, like, literally after that. It was so weird, but, like, I didn't see, like, Top Hat Man after that, and I didn't see Grandma after that, which is weird, but after, you know, that, just growing up, always being able to, you know, boom, that's spooky. Oh, that's creepy. I'm not going in that room. It's dark. I sense something.
Yeah.
Fuck that. You know, just the typical odds and ends of being sensitive to that stuff and just always being around it growing up. Obviously, Halloween is like one of my favorite like holidays.
Right.
But I just love everything like spooky and creepy and the unknown.
Right.
Like it's fascinating, especially with experiences. And we've all had like the same shared experiences like recently anyways. So
Right.
I'm not going to delve into those unless they want to know, which I'm going to hand the mic off to you guys.
Well, I was about to say, your Top Hat Man story kind of leads into Zach's experiences.
Exactly. So, host.
I think out of all of us, I have the most experiences.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like, for lack of a better term, you have the coolest.
The coolest?
The coolest.
Yeah.
You think mine's cooler than yours?
Yeah.
I think so.
I mean, and I know both of your guys' history with this shit. And if the same shit happened to me that happened to you, especially if I was young, I'd probably shit myself. So
So do we want to save that for last, or?
that's what I was gonna think. Like,
Okay.
'cause that's like a mic drop.
the story about how you started.
We're deciding the curriculum here live. It's happening right now. We didn't do this before. This is doing it right now.
Let's go ahead and just explain your experiences with Top Hat Man.
Just the experience of Top Hat Man.
Just the experience with Top Hat
Right.
Man.
Yeah. So mind you, I was 6 or 7 experiencing
So
that.
this was
came crying to her.
2008, 2009.
Yeah.
His experience with Top Hat Man was sometime
It was 17?
2018, 2019. It was after Peyton was born.
That's right, it was.
Yeah. I want to say it was more 2019 because
Summer 2019.
Yeah.
It was during the summer.
Yeah.
Oh, man. So, the cemetery that we're hoping to actually do our first investigation in, that's where this encounter happened at. This is where it started at. So,
Weirdos.
So for those who are not familiar, there's a game called Pokemon Go.
Pokemon Go.
It's a mobile app.
Haven't played it since. No, I'm just kidding.
It's a ton of fun, and there's these things called Pokestops around.
All up and
all
down, all over the place. So if you live in a city, you got like a ton of them. You probably have like 30 just in one square mile of whatever city you live in. So like us, it's a small city, and like I said, the cemetery has a lot of historical landmarks, and so that's why it has so many Pokestops nearby,
Including a gym.
Yep.
And so we're actually walking in a group. There's 4 of us.
I'm not included.
No, you were.
Yep.
You were still.
Yeah, there's 4 of us. It was Heather.
minor at the time.
It was Heather, you, and my cousin.
Yeah.
And me, and we decided to walk down the alleyway that goes to one of the entrances of the cemetery. The cemetery is completely closed off, and this cemetery is really well lit. I mean, it's got lights.
It doesn't have lights on the inside, but it's well lit from the lights on the outside.
No, it's got lights on the inside, but it only follows the main cut through.
Like lantern lights.
There's nothing after the roadway cut through, because there's a way to cut through it from one main road and put you at the train station.
Yep.
So along that entire length of that road, there's lights. And there's lights off in the corner where there's like this tour station.
Yeah.
You can take a tour with your phone, with your app, using an app.
Yeah.
But in the back of the cemetery, there's no lights.
Right.
It's completely dark. But anyway, that front side, it's lit up. You can see it from a really good distance away. And you can make out a lot of
the mausoleums.
And the
gravestones.
But on this particular night, it wasn't lit. At least in that section.
Yeah.
You had lights at each end that were on. And we were approaching it. Ashley and Heather got bad vibes approaching it. So we're not going to go down there. I'm like, Steven, you want to go with me? Steven's my cousin. We go down.
I told him not to.
He stops probably...
About halfway from where we had stopped to the gate where Zach
Yeah,
wanted to go.
they stopped at like the edge of the darkness.
Oh no, we stopped farther back than the darkness.
And then Steve-O stopped probably halfway through the darkness, and I was like, well, I'm going to go the rest of the way because I want to get the gem spin too.
Yeah.
And so I just went all the way to the gate. And then we left. Later that same night, it was probably the middle of the night. It was probably 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I just come out of this dead sleep, and I'm sweating.
The way I hear it, you didn't just come out of the sleep.
Yeah, I actually, from a complete laying down position, went to an almost standing position in the bed.
Screaming.
And I was...
Scared the shit out of me.
And I was screaming, but I wasn't like screaming in terror. I was screaming like I was charging, like I was about to fight.
Yeah.
Or I was already in an altercation.
Yeah.
And what brought me out of that sleep was I was having this weird dream. And it's unlike any dream I've ever had. And in this dream, and I'm somebody that dreams every time they sleep. I don't always remember what I dream, but I do know that I do dream because I've made myself aware of it. And a lot of the dreams that I remember actually fall in line with general day-to-day things. And the difference between the dream and the real world is that the best way that I can describe it is that there's glitches. Things in the dream world happen in a way where in the real life world it takes time and space to do.
Right.
And then in some aspects, when things happen or I'm doing actions in the dream, they don't work out the way they would in real life.
Right.
And then I wake up, and that's how I mainly know that it was a dream. But in this particular case, I can't tell you what was around me. I can't tell you where I was standing or sitting. I can't tell you anything about what was going on outside of the terrain, anything. So the only thing that I can imagine outside of that is it was just nothingness. But it wasn't dark, right? Because I could see this man somewhat clearly. He was a complete shadow. He didn't have a face. There wasn't face, there wasn't eyeballs, and he had a top hat on. And he was trying to get my attention. He was trying to pull me into him. And eventually I engaged with him, and he began to say, "Hey, princess, you want to join us in our spooky tales too, huh?"
She's like, I got some spooky stories to tell.
So, in the dream, he was trying to convince me that I wasn't me, that I was somebody else, that I was just a character, just something, just like an avatar,
like a pawn,
and that I should just release myself as who I am and become nothing, or something along the lines with, you're not real, you don't exist, you're not you. And as he pulled me into that conversation, I found it a lot harder and harder and harder and harder to resist. And by the time I realized it, he physically had his hands around my head, and he was looking at me in the face. I couldn't take my eyes off him. Like I said, it's completely, his face is completely dark. There's nothing there. All I can see is the brim of the top hat, and he's trying to, I don't know if he's screaming at me or what, but all I feel is like all this weight and pressure just coming down on me really hard. And I'll never forget it because the feeling, it's like it's like dread almost. But probably, I wouldn't say that it was dread as it is functions as like the weight of dread. So it's like when you run into something where you just know there's no way out of it. That kind of scenario, but kind of worse and heavy.
Yeah.
That's the only way I can really describe it. And so I reached up and I grabbed his hands, and there was just this loud noise, like he was trying to scream at me or something. I don't know. It was really loud, and it was kind of painful. And I ripped his hands off my head, and when I did it, like I had to put so much force and strength into getting him off of me that, I just kind of, I screamed, and that's when I found myself in that position on the bed.
Yeah. So
that was my encounter with said Top Hat Man.
I feel like you've had another encounter with him too.
I don't remember.
All of us were doing stuff with like messing around with some like equipment and some other things, and then we just got activity. We didn't really get.
Yeah, no, I feel like there's a story before. That's gonna bother me. I swear, that was your second instance with the Top Hat Man.
I feel like there's something.
That's the one that I remember because that was the. That left the mark on me, I feel like.
Didn't we... That was his first encounter, but there was Didn't we, like, witness something driving down Murphy's Mill as well? Because I know you'll talk about that.
Yeah.
But when we were just driving down there, like, for shits and giggles, like, after visiting your dad, we were like, let's go into the darkness. And then we started driving. You remember that?
That's how it always happens, right?
Exactly.
Always something stupid.
But then this was after I realized, I found out about that. Like,
yeah, I had no idea of his encounter with Top Hat Man until we started sharing the place.
Yeah.
I was about to say, I had forgotten about his encounter with Top Hat Man. When he had his encounter, so I didn't even think. I didn't put two and two together.
And then, how did he get brought up?
I think we were doing the same thing we're doing now, just scary stories.
Just scary stories, and I brought up that story, and you were like, no freaking way, I had a dream about Top Hat.
Yeah.
I had this experience with the Top Hat Man.
We all were freaking out after that point.
Yeah.
We're like, why is it connected? Carry the two.
What's the value of the plus sign?
Yeah.
And then that's when we got into the whole time situation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We went down a rabbit hole.
Rabbit hole.
They always go down a rabbit hole, and if I leave them to speak any longer, you guys will be following them down a rabbit hole.
They'll probably be interested in it anyways.
They want to hear scary stories, not your theories on time and space and all that good stuff.
That can be scary.
If I could audibly roll my eyes, I would. So the listeners who aren't watching the video can hear how hard I just rolled my eyes.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Sisters, am I right?
And once again, it's just my husband and me with you tonight. We no longer have Will.
Top Hat Man came and dragged him out of the stool.
Fuck no. Dude. Because I swear, we were driving down that road and we saw something, we were like, nope. We've had many encounters like that.
I was about to say, there's shadow people, I don't know gender, shadow people on Murphy's Mill. It's a road in Suffolk, a rural road, no lights except on buildings. And it's to the point where if you drive down that road at night, like in spring or fall, you're gonna run into a deer. It's that rule.
I ran over something on that road. He laughed at me. It hurt.
Oh my gosh.
No, that was a different one. It wasn't the same road. It was.
Oh, the road that's going. Yeah.
Anyway, we're not going to give you a whole roadmap of stuff. So, driving down that road, I have seen shadow people on the side of the road walking. And I know it wasn't a real person because I could see them walking. And then when I turned and lined up my lights with them, they were gone. And there's nowhere for them to hide. So.
Yeah.
There's definitely something with that road. Don't know what.
Yeah.
But. So where should I start with my stories?
You're going to be here a while, so.
I can start with the animal ones. Those are kind of cute.
Yeah. Yeah, we can start with those. Or if you want to start in chronological order since you were a kid.
Honestly, though, like, when I was younger, I don't remember a lot of my childhood. Just snippets. And bits and pieces.
You got the old, I'm going to block out all the bad stuff, too.
Yay, trauma!
Trauma!
So
From the same family.
So the earliest I can recall seeing spirits is when our grandmother was dying. Mm-hmm. I don't remember seeing anything definitively, and I was also going through a really bad depression episode, and so I thought I was hallucinating.
Right.
So I can't give you details on that.
For the first time, it always feels like you're hallucinating. Yeah.
Right. So before our grandmother passed away, I had this dog named Shiva. Half husky, half German shepherd, beautiful dog. My baby. She was my protector. I was feeling really down, and I was walking around in my backyard, and I saw her laying down in the on the grass. So I walk up, confused as all get out, because she's been passed away and cremated at this point, like months, and she was just like laying down, looking at me like this, and then when I woke up, of course she's gone. But in between where her paws were, right in front of where her muzzle was her favorite tennis ball, which had been put up next to her urn.
Oh, wow.
Inside.
Yeah.
So there's no way it was outside.
Right.
Huh.
Another animal story is we had a chow chow. Purebred chow chow. Her name was Missy. She was my stepdad's dog. I knew her well, but I didn't live with her for long once my mom and stepdad got married. And she passed away before you were even born. Mm-hmm. And I was hiding around the corner of my house with a friend about to try a cigarette for the first time.
Don't smoke, kids.
Don't smoke. And so I had the cigarette and I had a lighter and I went to go put it up to my mouth and I looked up and there's Missy just staring at me like, bitch, what are you doing? And I was so confused because no neighbor around us had a chow chow. The fluffiest dog around us was an Akita, but they also didn't get the Akita until at the time there was no fluffy dogs in any of our neighbors. So I was like, wait, hold on, there was a dog. So I hand the cigarette back to my friend and I look everywhere. No dog. Nowhere for a dog to hide.
That's crazy.
And my stepdad pulled into the driveway right then and there too, so I probably would have been caught trying to smoke, so Missy saved my ass in more way than one.
That's funny.
Yep. But those are my two animal stories.
That's cute.
Yep. Both cute ones. With Sheba, she always came to me when I was feeling sad. And in that moment, I was going through a lot. And so seeing her really did help. And then Missy, again, saving my ass from being caught smoking.
Princess.
Yeah.
Bad dog. No, ma'am.
No, she's depressed.
That's okay. She'll be all right.
So, I mean, what else do you want to hear? You want to hear about the time I saw the lady who used to own our house?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah,
So
we're going to fast forward to 2017.
Well,
You may kiss the
after-
God's children.
After
No,
the
sorry.
Missy and Sheba incident, You know, I had feelings and stuff too, but I didn't really see much.
I mean, that's fine. Yeah, I'm fine with getting down to the juicy stuff anyway.
I'm trying to think, and I don't recall really seeing much. I also didn't want to. Like, I had closed that part off.
It'd be like that.
Yeah. But I started wanting to and opening back up to the paranormal a little later in my mid-20s. And when we moved back to Suffolk in 2015, I was in the kitchen of our house and I was unpacking. And then I went into the laundry room to put something up, and I turn and I look, and there's this woman just standing in the kitchen, just looking at me, just watching me, like not disapproval or anything, just like, oh, hey, nice to see you. And I look, and then I look away, and then I look again because I was like, wait, what? But she was gone. And I told you about that. And, you know, we just went on with unpacking. Later on, there's this beautiful, gorgeous built-in wooden desk. That wasn't well maintained. It would have been gorgeous if it was well maintained. It was built into the kitchen, and you were going through the drawers. Mm-hmm. Remember? Mm-hmm. And you came across some original documentation from the house, including a picture from the 1960s.
Yeah, it was labeled 1960 on it.
Yep. And in that picture was a woman standing in front of the house, as it stood in 1960. And he asked me again, he was like, what did the woman look like? And I described her, and he was like, so like this, and it was the woman I saw. Yep. So I, you know, was like, and I had seen her a few more times, just kind of watching me move around the kitchen, and so I asked her to stop showing herself because I didn't want her to scare my children, and I didn't see her again after that. Yep. I'm going to jump forward a little bit because the juicy stuff, we're going to save that for last. So, here, in this current house, I've actually seen quite a few spirits. Mm-hmm. Specifically, I've seen my grandfather, just standing in the hallway watching me in the kitchen again. I don't know what it is with me seeing spirits while I'm in the kitchen. And the other one, my children had this friend.
Kitchen is where the heart is, man.
Apparently.
People love to eat.
Yeah.
Bring it on.
My children had this friend. Her name is Teresa. And she passed away a little over a year ago from COVID. She was 10 years old. And, anyway, I'll start crying if I think about her too much. She was the sweetest, like, sunshine personified. To know her was to love her. But, I was sitting at my desk the other day, like, literally, like, last week. I was sitting at my desk, and the kids were being goofballs. And my desk is set up in the living room where if I'm sitting here, here's my computer, there's the rest of the living room where he is. And the kids were in there being goofballs. And I hear a giggle from beside me. And I turn and I look and I see Teresa running while laughing. It was nice seeing her happy.
Wholesome.
Wholesome.
To say the least.
Yeah. Some wholesome, spooky stories. But, yeah, most of my stories are just that. Just quick glimpses, you know, the feelings when, you know, I saw the darkness and I was like, nope, not doing it.
No terrible dream.
No, the worst I've had happen to me while sleeping was sleep paralysis with the auditory hallucinations.
That's just...
It's the worst. It is the worst because mine, like my eyes are closed and I'm frozen and I can't move and I hear shuffling on the floor right by my head.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thankfully, Zach's an astute, you know, not an astute. Astute is not the word I want. He's a very good husband.
I have a sinus cold.
You're an astute husband, bro.
No, he's a very good husband. He'll notice the change in my breathing when I start to have a sleep paralysis episode, and he'll wake me out of it.
Whack.
Because my breathing changed.
Right.
Observant.
Observant.
What's the word? I'm a very observant husband. Very observant husband.
Whack.
But yeah, so I have a ton more stories about like me just seeing spirits, but it's literally just I was doing this mundane thing. I looked up and there was somebody like when I was reading or on my phone and you were playing video games, and I look up and there's a woman in a blue skirt standing next to you watching you play video games.
You cheating on her, bro?
I'm pretty sure it was like his great grandma or something. Just checking in on him.
It's my other wife in another state that I venture off to see.
Appearing as an astral projection.
Dude, you get bitches even in that?
Wow. But yeah, so it's all just I was doing this mundane thing and I saw a ghost. Woo! Like
Yeah. Shit's crazy.
yeah, but there is one story I have that's a little more spooky. I'll start because mine's what started it.
And then it segues.
Yeah, this was an experience, not a dream.
Yes, real life.
This is kind of what tilted the scale for me.
Yeah, he was a skeptic beforehand. He didn't believe me when I first saw the lady. He believed me, but
Yeah, okay, baby.
it's hard to explain because, like, he knows I wasn't lying.
Maybe he thinks you're crazy. Or thought you
Right? Thought I was hallucinating.
like, what the fuck
He-
did I
he-
marry
No,
in?
He never made me believe
So here's the
that
thing.
I was crazy when I told him I would see things. Like, he supported me and stuff.
Just be like, oh, that's cool,
No,
babe.
no, so,
5051,
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull.
no, so like, there's truly brilliant people in the world, and these are the people that stand out from the general intellect of the population of humans. Because you have people that there's really when you look at everything on any kind of scale as far as intellect, there's no human being that is actually stupid.
Right.
Generally, people that you see who don't perform well, we'll just say intellectually, usually perform well in other areas.
Right.
Whether it be, in physical labor, whether it be in physical fitness, whatever the case is. In any case, when you get into the average intellect, it's all the same. It's never, just because you're more inept in another area doesn't mean that you're stupid because somebody else knows more about trigonometry than you do.
Right.
You know what I mean? So anyway, then you have the people who are above that general average line. And these are the people who can think outside the box entirely.
Right.
So it's not that people who are average can't think outside the box or come up with clever ideas to critical thinking issues.
Right.
But the people who perform above that line do so in such a more inventive manner and with more finesse. So, like, an average person will...
I thought you were going to start singing Bruno Mars.
An average person will probably stumble across the idea through hours and hours of research or trying to push their way through a problem, whereas somebody who's a little more brilliant and whose mind is more inept to their own surroundings will probably do so in a very meticulous way and know the outcome that they're shooting for or the outcome they're going to get.
Okay.
And I've always seen you as that person.
Oh,
Because you
thank you.
have a way with learning material and absorbing information that I've never really seen from a whole lot of other people. And
Sponge.
It's because she's a Ravenclaw, bro. Them Ravenclaws be weird.
in one of those
J.K. Rowling.
Yeah, fuck.
And in one of those particular ways is how you take in information around you. And I think you do it a lot of it subconsciously, at least at the time. And so I figured that the way that you had insight into these things is because somehow you've already encountered the information somewhere.
So like my brain was manifesting what I've already seen or heard or...
Exactly.
Ah, so I wasn't crazy, but I wasn't ghosts.
That's what my conclusion is.
Well, it's nice to hear that you think I'm smart. You say it often, but I still love hearing it.
Get a fucking room. I'm gonna just...
18 years married still. Jealous. Anyway, so these next set of experiences we're going to talk about are what tipped the scale for him. We'll start with my experience. So the way our house was set up is in the front room was a living room, and there were 2 hallways that were connected through the kitchen. So it's living room, kitchen, hallway, dining room, hallway, bedrooms. So you can go through the living room, hallway, kitchen, dining room, living room, Our bedroom here's the doorway to our bedroom. You come out,
I'm
here's
not
the
getting
hallway.
in that bitch.
And the light in the dining room was open. And so I came out of our bedroom, and as I was walking across the hallway into the kitchen, I looked into the living room and I saw something run. Just a shadowy figure run to the other end of the living room where I was heading. But, I was like, oh, it's late. My mind's playing tricks on me. So I walk to the dining room, and at this point, the feeling of being watched and there being a presence nearby was super strong. Like, it was overwhelmingly so. Like, it was almost choking me with how much it was like, I'm here. And so I turned off the light, and when I did that, I swear I heard a breath and, like, movement on my neck. So I took off running through the kitchen. And I came up on the bedroom door right as he stepped out. Scared the fuck out of me. I fell on my ass, literally.
You didn't just like fall, like you collapsed, like you saw me step out and you were just like, I give up. Like
my legs gave out from underneath me, and I literally just collapsed.
It wasn't just a fall. It was like, oh my god.
Fuck, I would have paid to see that shit.
Yeah, and I was screaming. It was.
She hysterically laughed when she realized it was me. Like,
yeah,
it was
a hysterical laugh of relief, because that experience was so scary. And what made it worse is the next morning I woke up and there were scratch marks around my neck.
Yeah.
Yeah, damn.
From where I could feel the presence like choking me. And so that was when we met the Shadow Man.
The Shadow Man.
The Shadow Man. Now, in this house we're talking about, we've had experiences. There was one time there was somebody like banging on the door or on a window or on a wall so loud that Zach and our house guest at the time.
It sounded like it was coming from the outside, and it was along the corner of the bedroom.
Right.
Because it shook the whole bedroom.
Yeah, it literally shook our bed. And so him and a house guest of ours who was staying there, grabbed weapons, bats and stuff, and went out and looked around the house. There was nobody there.
Yeah.
There was nobody. But I did see movement across one of the windows when you guys were on the other side of the house. Remember? Because I told you he's on the other side of the house.
Yeah, we went over there.
You guys went running over
We trapped him. He went around back. I went around the front. And so there was no way. Because there's a fence right here. And it's like. It was only. The whole thing was like this wide.
Yeah.
So there's only room for one person to go through. And so when we came through almost at the same time. Yeah. So, I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, there was nowhere for him to go, and it was not there.
Yeah.
We also had a wooden mailbox on the front porch, and this is I don't want to say screened-in front porch because it was literally
It
like
was
walls.
in the early picture. It was a screen-in porch, and that wooden mailbox was there. So
okay.
at some point in time, because there was a walk path, so like at some point in time, the post would walk up to the screen-in porch and then drop in the mail.
Right.
But at some point they renovated it and they enclosed it entirely.
Right.
So
with windows and walls. And
yeah, so it was literally like an addition to the house. It was walls, had a whole other door to it and everything.
Yeah, and so we would lock the porch door, and then we would lock the front door, and the wooden mailbox was in between those two doors, and in the middle of the night we hear pop 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 pop. Somebody was literally like picking it up and going da 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 da.
That's what it sounded like. Yeah.
Yeah, like over and over and over again. But we would go out on the porch and double check the door is locked and there's nobody on the porch.
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy. So then the next scenario with the Shadow Man, I was working overnights. And you were home alone.
Yeah,
with the kids.
I was by myself, bro. By myself. So the addition to the front of the house was completely enclosed. And then it had a whole nother heavy door to the front. And so like
and these were like heavy old-fashioned wooden doors, not like
the one outside was like metal.
Yeah. And they were heavy. They weren't like
no, they were heavy
cheap
doors.
Inside doors or anything.
Yeah, the door on the inside, like you walk in, and this is like the enclosed area, and then there's another door that takes you to the inside of the house, and the door that takes you inside the house is heavy wooden door with like one glass panel.
Yeah.
And it's got those heavy doorknobs and the deadbolt.
Yeah.
So every night, I'd go out there and pull the door to and lock it, turn the light off, and then close the inside door, the wooden door, and lock it and deadbolt it. And then I would enjoy TV and then go to bed. On this night, I'm sitting on the couch and the TV's against the wall where the door is. So the door's here, the TV's like over here. And I'm looking through the glass panel, and I see this Head and Shoulders just, and then turn around, and I was like, bro, who the fuck's on the porch? And I get up, I flip the light on, and I undo the locks, I open the door, and the porch is empty. There's nobody there. I go down the whole length of the porch, scratching my head over it. I check the door, it's locked. There's no way to lock it from the outside unless you had a key. And if you were to open it, you'd hear it.
Right.
Like it was loud.
Yeah.
And when you close it, you had to really push it. So it was
almost slam it.
Yeah, it was loud. So I go back inside, and at that point, I'm done for the night. I think I called and told you about it. Like it was really
you called me and told
it
me
really
about
spooked the hell out of me. I don't even think I went to sleep. Like I stayed up. Like
I wouldn't have slept after that shit.
I was pretty spooked out. Like all the hair was standing up on my body. Like I couldn't even go near the door after that. And then when you got home, we did go to sleep, and I woke up and I had scratches on my neck.
Yep. I think you actually had the scratches on your neck by the time I got home.
Yeah, I think we were already there.
I got home and
because it was really like irritated and burning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like right here.
Yeah, on both sides. Like it was, yeah.
So.
Really freaking crazy.
Yep. And at that time, I didn't believe anything religiously. So the only thing I could think of doing was saying, "Hey, Meemaw, Grandma, can you help us out?" Like.
I didn't know she did that.
Yeah, I called on. I was in the shower and I was washing up, and I think I heard a weird noise, and I peeked out, didn't see anyone, and it reminded me of our two Shadow Man experiences. So I was like, hey, Mima, I don't, this thing hurt me and my husband. I don't want it to hurt my kids. Help us out. So I went back to work the next night.
And this wasn't back to back. This happened
the next weekend, I think.
Yeah, it was almost a week apart.
Yeah.
And so I'm laying on the couch again, but I'm facing this way because I don't want to look out the door anymore. And I'm watching TV, and there's a window on this side of the TV, and all the windows have like these heavy blinds. And
heavy metal blinds.
Like really thin, almost like aluminum type blinds. Yeah. They were already there when we moved into the house, and we never took them down. They just stayed. Anyway, I know that we had a neighbor that liked to turn around in our driveway. And so, generally, when they would turn around the driveway and the blinds weren't closed, the light would come through. And it's like, whatever. Like, it didn't really bother me at all. And that night, out of nowhere, this light just shined through the blinds. And I'm just like, I thought I closed the blinds. So I got up, I walked over to the window. Sure enough, the blinds... Actually, I didn't have to get up. I remember, because I was laying on the couch on the other direction. And so I was looking up at the blinds. I was like, I could have sworn I closed the blinds. And then the light it just got brighter. And the next thing I know, the blinds just kind of do this thing where it's like, psh! And I was like, and I jumped off the couch and I was like, what the fuck was that? And when I'm looking, I can't even explain to you. It was so bizarre because, like, what I think I'm seeing is that when the blinds came out, like a bolt of light, like, flew through the doorway. And so I jump up, and I'm looking at the blinds, and, like, the blinds are closed, like, the windows are locked. How did that happen? And, I turn around, and the bolt of light comes, I see the bolt of light going into through the door. And I was like, I don't even care at this point. So I checked the blinds. They're definitely closed. The window was definitely shut and locked. And I left the living room. And I never watched late night TV again. Ridiculous. It's the most insane thing that I could that I could spit out to you from my mouth, is that I saw an orb of light fly through the goddamn window, go around the house, and go through to the porch. And
after
that, no more experiences. There was nothing, and we lived there for another year.
Yep.
And
nothing.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm 99.9% sure it was my grandma is back when I was living at home in high school, my sister had a boyfriend, my older sister, and he was over at the house, and he was just joking around, messing around with my mom and my sister, giving them shit and stuff. And then he went to go get himself some food from the pot on the stove, and a ball of light came from, I don't know where it came from, because he didn't know where it came from, but it came into his field of vision, flew around in front of the pot, like jumped at his face a few times, and then flew away. This was Lexi's dad.
Yeah. Buddy, yeah.
So... we assumed then also that it was my grandmother, because he was, we were talking about grandma, and he was saying like, oh yeah, if your grandma was alive, I'd beat her ass too, and then that happened, so.
Yeah. Just like, all in all, like, crazy shit.
Yeah. Yeah, and so that's when he started really believing in the other side, the paranormal. And that's when
I got nothing. I got no way to explain that. It's the dumbest shit ever. But like,
it's the coolest shit ever too. Like, for those of you that are like listening or watching or whatever floats your boat of how you interact, it's just if you're listening, I know you got chills during that entire thing, because I did. And I've heard the stories, I don't know how many times.
Yeah. It's crazy. And the weirdest thing is it's not over. You know, we're now going to be going into places where sightings are reported looking for more. So
We're marching in.
I'm really hoping to expand my abilities. I don't even really know what to call it.
Hone in on.
Yeah.
We're going to expand our abilities to F around and find out.
The more you F around, the more you
find out.
Alright, well, we're coming up on an hour of talking, so
That's crazy.
Yeah. So these were some of our experiences. Why don't you guys leave comments and let us know what you've experienced, what made you start believing in the paranormal and the other side and whatnot. It'd be interesting to hear from you guys as well.
Also, your take on shadow people too. Like, they're everywhere. They're everywhere.
There is that.
Have you seen Top Hat Man?
Oh god, man. If you have, let me fucking know. I swear. Let us know. Like, I'm interested, actually. Like, is it just a us thing, or is it like a them thing? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Like I was saying in the first podcast, is it like La Llorona, where there's this, you know, myth behind the Top Hat Man, but it's a bunch of different people who, you know, die in a specific way and become the Top Hat Man, like when the women who die who become La Llorona.
Right. Like the Weeping Woman.
And if I'm pronouncing that wrong, please let me know.
Yeah. No, it, like, almost like that's what they become.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, with what you were saying, I think the translation is like the Weeping Woman or something.
Yeah.
Right? Basically, like, you know, killing the children, and then
usually taking their own lives when they realize what they've done.
Right. The regret, and then, like, just all of that, just turning them into a bad entity, and just like, you know, the shadow people. And we can get into that like a later podcast, obviously. But but like Top Hat Man, I know a lot of people say something about Top Hat, but it's typically just a full shadow and that's it. And they think they're like it's wearing a hat. Yeah. So I've heard about that, but like I want to know if you've actually seen the son of a bitch with a fucking top hat and a cane. If so, comment and let me fucking know, cause I want to know. We want to know.
Yeah. I want to know. Have you ever seen the rain?
Creedence Clearwater Revival.
Alright, well that's it for this week's episode of The Midnight Hour.
This is the Midnight Hour Podcast. I'm your host, Zach, and peace out.
Bye.